Hello, ladies. Welcome to another new episode of Alive. And I am excited to be hosting an amazing guest on the show. And my name is Wilma Mwangi. And this is the show where we bring you informative and educative content. And it's women-centered. It's all about women, and we talk about lifestyle, health, and wealth. So karibu sana. And if you're joining in for the first time, remember to like, subscribe, and share. My podcast is on YouTube. It's on Boomplay, Anchor, Google Podcasts, also on Apple Podcasts. You can find me anywhere. So today I am with an amazing guest, and I would like her, kama kawaida, to tell us more about herself. She can let us know who she is and what she does and what the world does not know about her. So karibu.
Thanks, Vilma. Are you seriously asking me those three questions?
Yeah, I am.
In like, how much time do I have?
That's not. We've not even yet gotten to start the show
Thank
yet.
God. Martha is my name, and if I was to speak about the things that I love, that the podcast is called Alive.
Yeah.
That I mean, it's when you did it the first time, I was like, oh yeah, alive. I feel alive when you said it. But yeah, I think in the context of things that bring me alive is actually spaces like this, so conversations, meaningful conversations.
Yeah.
I love to create spaces for people to bring out their authentic self, and because I think for me, we live in a world where there's so much that is possible.
That is true.
Creating spaces, whether it's through my work in coaching or creating learning spaces where people can really tap into the gifts they have, the talents they have, and find a resourceful way of living from that place.
Exactly.
To create the world that I want, whether that's being an entrepreneur or being an employee or pursuing your hobbies, whatever it is that you want to do, but like do it from that real, genuine, authentic place.
Yes.
That for me is what brings me alive. And I also, I traveled a lot before Corona, so I'm a avid traveler. Nice. I love everything art and
How many countries have you traveled to?
Maybe 17.
Oh.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of places. And I love art. I love music. As I was coming here, I was listening to one of my favorite musicians. He's called Jack Savoretti. Okay. He's Italian, and he has this beautiful voice. Yeah. I was just like, oh God, he sings so
Jack
well.
Savoretti,
yes. And yeah, I love music. I love art, painting, and I've tried pottery some years back. And I'm also into spiritual development, so things like yoga and meditation.
Wow.
Things like this. So
you are a lady in big every day. Thank you so much. Karibu to the show.
Thank you.
So even before we go dig deep into the serious stuff, I want to ask you some quick fire questions.
Let's see how I do, yes.
Okay, let's get to know who Martha is. Do you remember your first job?
Yes, I do. I remember my first job. Oh, my coach made me do this exercise the other day. I actually worked as a farm manager for my uncle.
Oh, wow.
I was so little. I was like in high school.
Okay.
And my uncle used to farm like a lot of tomatoes and other things. So because when it was harvest time, there was a lot of coordination. Yeah. So I would be the person coordinating the harvesting, so making sure nobody's stealing anything, making sure the work is done on time, everybody is paid. Yeah. And when I look back now, I'm like, that's where I picked up a lot of my entrepreneurial nature.
Nice, okay.
Back like maybe 20
From
years ago.
As simple as what you were doing.
Exactly.
Okay, what's so simple, but
it wasn't so simple. Yeah. So my coach asked the other day, like, what have been all your jobs? So he asked all of us to like list. And I was like, oh,
I did
this
that.
Is interesting. Yeah? And then I hadn't even done the exercise until I saw someone else had written. She used to collect potatoes or something.
Wow.
And she's from, I don't know what country, Russia or something. And I was like, oh, I also used to help my uncle, harvesting tomatoes. So then the list became really, really long.
Yeah. So that was your first job.
That was my first job. I was a farm manager.
Okay. Second question, soft or hard skills?
I don't think it's a question of choosing. I wouldn't choose, actually. I think you approach life from what do you need from both boxes.
Okay.
I think both are important.
Yeah.
If you have great soft skills, but you can't do some hard stuff, then it's still not gonna work, right? Like even in this podcast, let's say you didn't have all the support you have, and you are a very good interviewer, but like you don't know all the editing and the technical background, then it will be really hard for you to run the show.
Yeah.
So I think you need to be conscious every moment to ask yourself, what do you need from each box? And then, do that. So I wouldn't choose, because I think both are important.
All right. What would you do different if you could go back in time?
To what? Which part of my life?
Yeah, whatever part. What would you do different? You can pass.
Yeah, I can pass, because I don't want to do anything different. I approach life from as a learning experience, and everything for me is an experiment. So if in quotes there were mistakes, I didn't know.
Right?
Then, they happened. So then now I learned from them. So now move on. So I don't know if there's anything. Maybe, of course, I know if I go into deep introspection, blah blah blah, I'll find something. But in this moment, I don't know if there's anything I'll do different.
So passion or profit?
Both. Absolutely both. You need the money, and you need to do things that you love passionately.
That's
and
true.
The more you find the sweet spot between those two things, the happier
better
your life is, and the more fulfilling.
All right. So what's your favorite part of your job now?
My favorite part of my job is that I can leave my house at 1 o'clock and come to the show. And it's the freedom to do things I love. It's the freedom to create the spaces, to work with impactful organizations across East Africa, and to really support, like, whether it's individuals or organizations who are like, you know what, I see a problem here and I want to do something about it. So organizations that are driven by that, the passion and profit, right? Like they have a very high, strong social mission, and at the same time they are thinking how to create those solutions in a sustainable way. And for individuals exploring their careers and taking themselves to the next level, the same thing. Like, I believe in myself, I have potential, blah blah blah, and I want to do something about it. I want some sort of guidance. I want to invest time and sometimes money to take myself to that level. So working in these spaces for me is really exciting.
That's amazing.
I have 100% control on doing that.
Yes, there's nothing as good as freedom. So has the industry changed since you started?
Which industry?
The career development space.
So that's a very broad question. So I've been in the career development space since I was in university. I worked as a volunteer I studied at Kenyatta University. So I studied as a volunteer for the career center for about 3 years. That was part of the team that we used to organize the career affair. It was like 20,000 students, over 200 corporates. And that experience for me in uni was really, really powerful, because in that volunteer team, we were given 100% like autonomy and to like run with this event. And we had like really great support from the mentors and the senior management that were working there. And I think for me, it was the first time where I interacted with this idea of mentorship, because this gentleman, Mr. Monari, would always tell us in those meetings, don't you dare bring me any challenge. I only want solutions in this meeting. So I grew up 3 years in campus, that's 99% of your uni life done. So the first year you're just like moving around like, where am I? What's going on here?
You're trying to find your footing.
So for me, that I think instilled this idea of being a solution creator in every angle of my life from a very young age. And at the same time, then we are working with corporates, trying to understand the different needs in organizations, where what you asked about soft skills before. What soft skills are more important right now in the world of work? Of course, the usual things: collaboration, teamwork, creative problem solving, critical thinking, things like this. And then we also used to do outreaches to universities. So speaking to students about their different career paths, etc. And then I also worked on a global career acceleration program in India. So when I look back, and then the last 5 years in the coaching space, when I look, and then all the other years in recruitment, but like when I look back at the question of has the industry changed, I guess it's a yes and no. Have the problems that have been there changed over the last 10, 15 years? They're still the same. They're probably getting worse. Yeah. But I think for me, what I have seen in the last 2 years is an increase in the number of great talent that are really interested in taking the driver's seat in their lives and in their career. I have clients who don't take jobs anymore. They're like, you know what? Cheers. These are my conditions. I know what is my value. I know what is my potential. I know that I'm capable of doing amazing work. So if the organization is not ready to, and this is not even about like salaries, because some of them have worked for several years and then they just put a hard stop. So then they are like, these are my terms and conditions for me to do a great work. I need this type of environment. I need this type of collaboration. And if that's not being given, then, you know, cheers. I have like clients for like 6 months, we are still trying to find a job. And they are like, Martha, no, I'm not doing that one. You remember that value. So this really makes me happy to see that, people are acknowledging and appreciating themselves. And
there's some personal.
Sitting on the wanting this type of support to actually get themselves to that level.
Oh, that's great. So, all right. That's nice. Thank you for that quick insight about you and what you do. So as we dig in what now we're going to talk about on the show, we'll be talking about building a successful career. Success is a different language for each one of us. Being promoted for one person is success. The other person is an increase in salary. It's a value or a metric of success. So we'll be digging into each one of this. And as we start off, I want us to talk about job hustles. Personally, for me, I have gone through the job hustle. I have scouted for jobs in this country of ours. And it can be really devastating. Once you apply, you reapply, and you still don't get it. So tell us, you as an experienced recruiter, what is it that people normally look for in job seekers that they can fit into these roles that companies need?
I love this question because the answer is very easy. The answer is simple.
What is it?
You know it.
Oh yeah?
The problem is not that. The problem is that. Again, how much time do we have? So, I mean, every employer wants someone who can prove they can do the job, someone who presents themselves well, etc., etc. Like, I mean, what else would an organization that has certain goals want? Someone who can achieve that. I keep saying this, and I always, like, every time I say it, for me, it sounds like it's like a joke, you know? But the number of irrelevant, lack of effort, not detailed job applications recruiters get are quite significant.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of, I can confidently say, people who don't get jobs, it has everything to do with how you package yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has everything to do with how you package yourself. And I see all those really small, obvious mistakes over and over again. You know, whether it's like through your just like CVs and LinkedIn profiles and cover letters. But also over the years, a lot of organizations have adopted this online application system where everybody thinks it's a job, that nobody looks at that stuff. So you advertise for a job, you get 100 applications, but only 3
applied.
100 applied, but only 3 stand out. You have 97,
but only 3
stand out. And the question is, what's going on here, right? So I think there's still a lot of effort, and I think the word is intention, but I see a lot of lack of intention in job hunting processes.
Okay.
People sending random applications to everyone, not customized applications, not spending time to read about the organization, assuming that recruiters and organizations will not look at those I mean, that's why they are paid. They have a job.
Yeah, literally.
So there's a lot. I think there's a lot of myths, and there's a lot of myths that influence how job seekers look at work.
Yeah,
and that then becomes a barrier on top of like no employment, blah blah blah. There are not many opportunities compared to how many people don't have jobs. But there's a whole other space for that as well. I think influences why the hustle feels much more stressful and real.
Okay. You mentioned people not being intentional with like these job applications, and once, let's say, you have the right skill set, you have everything right, you match the job description. So what's the next step? Yes, you've applied for it, and let's say you've even gotten the job. So in that position you are in, I want us to talk about the growth as well as the mental well-being, because some people you'd hear, some of my friends who are currently working, you'd hear them say, hey man, job is stressful, or I'm getting bored at my job. So what are some of the ways you would say people could grow in their career and actually not get bored in it? What are the ways you can grow as a young professional in a job? You've just entered the job market, you're like, yes.
So I guess first you have to ask yourself what growth means for you. And that question of what growth means for you is also very similar to that question of what success means for you.
Exactly.
So once you honestly know what that growth means for you, and then attach that to what will need to happen, what will you need to feel for you to be successful, then it's about carving that path in between, right? The most obvious things when you're a young professional, I love to talk about the ideas of experimenting. I spent about 3 years when I was just figuring things out, because I studied education for my first degree.
So you're a teacher by profession?
I am a teacher by profession and by heart. And when I studied, I knew I studied early childhood, and I was sure I never wanted to teach kindergarten. I don't like teaching kids. I love to play with them. I host art classes now. But I don't want to teach them math. For me, like, children should just be playing. I don't, So I knew from like uni days that I didn't want to go traditionally in the path of that. So then the question was, how do I expose myself to spaces that promote raise my awareness of my skills, my strengths, my talents, things I'm passionate about. What am I curious about? How can I go after that? So this idea of, for me, those 3 years experimenting was simply following, what did people say I'm good at? I'm good with people. I could do a career in people. What does that mean? Maybe I could run a leadership development program. What about that can I do when I'm still young in my career? I found this volunteer opportunity for 1 year in Tanzania. So I went. Right? Needed very little resources and gave me a really, really great opportunity. Also, again, working with corporates and on young professionals, upskilling, and a bit of other social impact work with communities. So for me, it's defining what growth and what success you want, being very aware of the things you're passionate about and curious about, and then putting action into it. You have so much time when you're young in your career to experiment and to try things out. And then when you do that, you're not just trying for fun, because that's a trap as well. You are trying with the intention of, what can I learn from this? And then how can I use that to get to the next level? So if I'm curious about let me try that for like 2-3 months, and then, or 6 months or 1 year, and then I learn something about myself. I see the talents and the skills that are unfolding. And then the next level is like, what can I do with that? What opportunities can this new information and knowledge and experience open up for me? So this type of thinking then helps you then carve what is your growth path, which then will be very different for different people. And I think also like that experimentation then comes also with the mindset of taking initiative. Like nobody will do these things for you. Nobody will find that volunteer opportunity for you.
It's you.
It's you who is gonna have to do the freaking work.
Yeah.
And you'll have to create time for it. And then you'll have to be focused to actually make something out of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And you have to be dedicated as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. And as a senior professional, what would you say about that group?
So I think so for senior professionals, it's very interesting, right? Because when many people start asking themselves that question of what's the next level, it's triggered by different things. Yeah. So there'll be people who just come from sabbatical and they are like, oh, okay, job market. Huku mtu alikuwa anaendanga na side gani, you know? There'll be people who maybe you just went through a PhD or a master's, a master's whatever program. There'll be people who are, you know, when you start having this itch of there's more to me, I'm sure tu hivi tu sio venye life hapa ndio imenifikisha. You look around, not from a comparison, feeling terrible about your life, but from like, oh shit, people are doing amazing things.
Yeah.
I am totally capable of doing that. So you're sort of like triggered to want to figure out what is that good for you.
Yeah.
So again, it has to be very customized. Where are you coming from and what is triggering that?
Yeah.
And what is that next level of growth? For some people, it's vertical. I just have to be CEO for the next 3 years.
Okay.
Then I have clients who are like, I have 6 more months to be CEO.
Yeah.
And they are not even joking. Yeah. Like in 6 months, I'm going to start applying for CEO level jobs. I have clients who all they want to do is follow their passion and start social ventures that can change the world around them.
Yeah.
So then go ahead and do that. There are people who know for sure they are sitting on their potential. Or as you had mentioned earlier, I'm just bored. You know, I've done this for the last 10 years. I'm totally bored. So again, it's really, where are you and what is it that you want to achieve with your life?
Exactly.
For me, that's then what you determine what growth you actually want. Is it towards passion? Is it towards more money? Is it vertically?
Yeah.
Is it growth to a better organization that promotes well-being and healthy workplaces? So what do you want? Exactly. Figure out what you want and go for it.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. That's very correct. And you mentioning about what is it you want as a person, sometimes it can be a bit confusing.
No, first of all, it's hard to admit what we want.
It is quite hard.
Yeah.
And even first of all, getting to understand what it is you like, because let's say you're trying out different things.
Yeah.
So you start wondering, do I like this? Do I not like this? What am I really interested in? So yes, it's important for one person to just sit down and get to know what it is they want.
Yeah, and it really demands that we raise our level of self-awareness, and we need to create time for that.
Yeah.
If we want to approach if you want to grow, you can grow haphazardly.
Yeah.
Cheers. Please go ahead. Yeah. But you can also want to grow intentionally and strategically and towards the life that you want to create for yourself. So if that's what you want, then you need to create time for self-awareness, to really ask yourself the hard questions, to work with a coach to help you raise awareness of yourself. You need to ask feedback, not from everybody.
Yeah.
Disclaimer.
From specific people.
From people that you truly trust.
And they know you.
And they know you, and you know they have the best interest of you at heart, and they have observed you show up in different places. So that you can unreveal those things like blind spots, right? The things that you may not be able to see when you're stuck in the mud of every single day, you know, busyness, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So yeah, I think that's what I would say to this. Yeah.
Okay. So you've mentioned about growing strategically. So let's talk about career mapping. Sometimes it can be hard or maybe easy for some people.
First of all, what is career mapping?
Like having a career path, like knowing in the next maybe 5 years, I want to be a doctor. So let's say you studied for it.
That's easy.
What is easy, being a doctor or the career mapping?
Being a doctor. Si utaenda tu med school, alafu utaenda UN, utakuwa tu hapo. Kenyatta will be looking for interns.
Okay, did you do?
Okay, jokes aside, please go on.
Let's. Okay. Well, doctors out there, I hope you're not judging us. I'm sure being a doctor is not easy, but how do you?
I mean, not easy, but it's a very standard, like the path is very clear to figure in the medical field, right?
Yeah.
And like, it's very easy. Like, you know, your first degree, the internship program, then you go back for the 2 years of postgraduate, then you may want to progress. Like, I think that some paths are very, very clear. So that's why I'm like, it's very easy. Like
that
yeah, exactly. Like that example is easy because it's like, of course I know the path, and I know the whole list of things that I can specialize in. And that's what I meant.
Why do you think that's important for an individual to have that vision of where they want to be in their career?
I love that you use the word vision, because I don't think we live in a world today where you can have, 2021 tunakumbuka 2020 hapo March last year, what happened?
Corona happened.
Yeah. And this stuff is gonna stay. It's going to influence us for the next 5-10 years. Hakuna kwenye tunaenda. So the truth is, it's gonna be very, very hard. I mean, these days I make plans for 24 hours.
Oh,
long-term plans are 3 months, like I have a plan up to July, end of mid-August. Tukifika hapo, we'll figure. So I'm just removing from the table this idea of thinking about 5 years from now I want to be
okay.
You don't know what will be happening in 5 years. You don't know what else will happen. Devolutionalize how that profession looks like. And think so what I love about this season we are in is that for the last 20 years, ever since I was in uni, we were talking about the future of work, right? 2020 will come, and then we waited for 2020. Then 2020 came with a bang.
The bang.
Like God, like I'm here, you've been waiting for me. Nimefika sasa, acheni niwashow venye kunaendanga. So we were not ready, obviously, right? But just observing the things that have happened. This morning I was having a conversation about the whole world of remote work. People seated in the city, living great lives, working for companies in San Francisco. You can work anywhere. Companies, literally. A friend sent me a job earlier this week of a company, I don't know based where, some random country. And they were looking for like talent in Africa, right? So they just want to grow a diverse team with talent from everywhere, and they don't care. And you get the full benefits of like working in
wherever you are,
as if you had like a company that you go to the office every day. So just let's get this idea of like 5 years, blah blah blah, 10 years, anything could happen. Now coming back to why I love the word vision is, you can have a vision for your life. You can have a vision for, how do I want to feel when I go to work every day? How do I want to feel when I interact with my colleague? How do I want to, how do I want to feel when I do my work? Right? So those are things you can visualize, and then you can keep assessing as you're growing and as you're progressing in your career. How close are you to that vision that you have? So the problem with vision also, and like thinking 5 years ahead, is like we are waiting to get there. So what are we doing now?
Working towards it.
Like what? So what are we doing now? Like what are we doing for the next 5 years? So I love to challenge people to vision how do they want to experience their careers, and then to bring that to today. How can I live that today,
right now?
And am I living it in my current workplace? Maybe not. If I'm not, is there anything I can change? Maybe not. Oh great, what does that mean for me? Right? So create the vision and then live it from here on an everyday basis, as opposed to like waiting 5 years. Na hizo 5 years hata ujui.
And are you factoring in the unexpected turns of events, maybe economically? Let's say you lost your job, and you're thinking, okay, now what to do? Yeah. So are you taking that into consideration?
Exactly. And if you're not too stuck up on getting somewhere, it's easier to deal with those situations.
Okay.
But if you're too stuck up on, I want to get there this time, this date, earning XYZ, then that's all you're focused on. Then if anything happens, one, you're too stressed to deal with it.
Yeah.
Two, you lose opportunities that might be arising around you, which you probably see if you're much more open,
yeah.
right? So it's this balance between knowing what's the vision and living it today, and knowing one day, yes, I want to get somewhere, but I'm trying my best to live it today, and then anticipating things might change along the way, and creating, I guess, the strength and the tools within you to deal with those changes. So then it becomes a much more enjoyable, playful journey. Like, I don't, you know, like you spend so much time working.
You know, you're opening up my mind. I'm like, wow, I wish I was being told this 3 years ago. I'd be so open to, you know, even where I am right now. I think I would have been there. But anyway, who knows?
No, but that's the power of these conversations. Then you can take that and then ask yourself, so what does it mean moving forward?
Exactly.
Right?
What does it mean moving forward?
One of my friends likes to say, you can't skip your own revolution.
Wow.
You know, I think it's really powerful.
Your own revolution.
Because then for me, every time I'm like, shit, why the heck did I not know that 5 years ago? And I remember Teresa, Martha, you cannot skip your own revolution. And I'm like, okay, girl, I cannot skip my own revolution. I guess it's my time now. So it's a much more gentler way of, I guess, dealing with those moments of like, oh shit, but and it helps you move forward and progress without judging yourself too much.
Right. Yeah, that's a nice tweetable tweet. So you talked about change, and how you can deal with that, with the changes in maybe in your workplace or in your job. So I want us to talk about career shift. Studied for in Bachelor's of Education, So you now being a career development coach, stroke recruiter, how has that been for you?
Oh, it's been fantastic.
How's that shift been for you?
There has been no shift. I lead a very unorthodox life and a very unorthodox career. So if anybody is listening, take my experiences with a piece of piece of salt.
A pinch of salt.
A pinch of salt. And how has it been? It's been amazing. It's been incredible to like go through this journey of like trying out so many different things over the last 10 years. And I think more. And for me, part of it is favored by my personality, and my nature is experiment, is explore. I'm very curious, and I'm also very like, I like to take action and take initiative. So when I'm curious about something, I will do something about it. And there's a process, as I'm doing it, I'll learn something about myself. Then I'll pause and ask myself, oh, that's interesting. What do I do with it? I love to share that. Some of the, right now in developing different learning spaces, I mean, I studied education over 12, 13 years ago, maybe 15, I don't know, when I was in campus. So I started that like 15 years ago. I did about 5 years of my early career, 3 in uni and 2 after uni, working on these different leadership development programs on volunteer and stuff. And that's where I learned a lot of my skills on leadership development, character development, skills training, facilitation, everything I do. Over 10 years later, I learned it
back then.
Wow. So yeah, past experimentation, my personality really favors that. And then the other reason why it's, I think, been really, really enjoyable for me is this idea of seeing yourself get to the next level and get to the next level. So every time what I learned, what I shared about when you when you learn something and you're like, oh, that's amazing. I can do that. I can be able to contribute to an organization in this way. That's a beautiful surprise. What more can I do with it? So approaching life in this experimenting, playful way makes the journey much more interesting. But of course, a lot of self-awareness and having really great mentors and coaches with me has really helped me shape and get really focused. Get really focused on, okay, because again, the balance between curiosity and being interested in 1 million things and then becoming focused. I think for me, the focus has been harnessed by my coaches, because then they help me to be like, okay, Martha, you're doing only 3 things. What are they going to be? You know, like right now I'm working on how can I do only 3 things?
Wow.
Right? And that might mean doing 1-2 things every week. That's it. So how do you build that life? It's a lot. You need a lot of support, and then you need a lot of honesty and self-awareness on what are you really, really good at and harnessing on that. And then also figuring out what are the other skills and support system you need to still grow in your career, you know?
Some people would argue, you know, people have different personalities, so not everyone is outgoing. But as you said, harnessing what is within you.
What is within you,
just
exactly.
What is within you, and, you know, being adventurous in gaining different skills, maybe, different
and we all have that innately in us. For some people, it may show up as, she's all out there. And for some people, it's really quiet and subtle, but it's the same call for novelty, for newness, for let me try something, you know, like we are human beings. We are not like stuck into like, we are not trees, you know?
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay. So what, as we wind up, what is your advice to that person who is looking to transition to a different career, and maybe they're confused, they're in that gray area, like, okay, this is what I did and this is what I want to do?
So first, you need to calm down. You're not confused. You know, you're just trying to figure out what to do. There's no confusion element.
Okay.
Because people get stuck in that energy of, oh, I'm confused. Oh, I don't know what to do. You overanalyze it, you overthink it, then you meet more people who are as confused and overanalyzing the situation. Then mnaeka your mix. Then you know, you made a very, very like strong cocktail of confusion. Then you're stuck there. So first is like move yourself from that place and like come back to, okay, why do I want this change? You ask, what is my advice? My advice is work it backwards. I was earlier making the joke of people wake up and want to transition. It doesn't work like that. Nothing in this life has ever worked like this. So someone will either, the words you use earlier, I'm bored, I'm stressed, blah blah blah, I want a change, and then they will think it's gonna happen click of a finger overnight. No. So work backwards. Transitions can take you 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
I mean, again, I'm back to intention and strategy. You can do it haphazardly. You might be lucky, or you might be extremely frustrated. So when you work backwards, then it's about acknowledging, right now I want change. Okay, great. Taking enough time to figure out what's the change you want. Visualizing, we talked about vision. How do I want to feel in this type of workplaces, in the work that I do? What impact is it creating? What of my strengths am I using? Do that. Right? There's no confusion there. So you know, sisi ni vitu unajua tu. Then, so you haven't even started thinking where you're going yet. Then now start planning like forward.
Okay.
If that's what I want, what will it take me to get there? Right? Think of yourself as the person who would hire yourself. Like when you're on interview a couple of years later, and you're asking yourself, like, why should I hire you? Answer that question, and then do whatever that person would say that would impress you. Do that.
Okay.
And then start working towards getting there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. You are just blowing my mind away today. So we have come to the end of the show. Thank you so much. And I hope, ladies, you have been able to learn a thing or two from Martha. And this episode, we are in conjunction with Fuzu as we talk about building a successful career. So asante sana, ladies. Remember to, Martha, do you have anything before I continue? Do you have anything to say? Do you want to say hi to anyone?
Oh.
Do you want to plug yourself? Do you want?
Not really. Oh my God, that just took me to childhood. Those things on radio. No, I don't know how that works, but this was fun. I love sharing. This the things that I'm really passionate about.
Okay.
So yeah, I hope everybody got to take one or two things, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Take that and run with it. Discard everything else and make that your thing.
Okay.
Most importantly, put action into whatever insights that you will hear from me speaking or from anybody else speaking.
Okay.
And it's those tiny actions that create that momentum eventually.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You're welcome. And yes, so you can remember to catch me on, or rather to catch up on the various episodes that I have had. And we will see you next time. Peace out.